Hi everyone. In Food Science and Nutrition, under the subject Institutional Food Service Management, we are going to discuss about personnel management. Who is a personnel? A personnel is a person who is working in an organization. We have to manage a personnel in an organization. We are going to discuss about the objectives of personnel management. The main objectives of the personnel management are to maximize the individual development by identifying each individual's ability and make use of such abilities in an efficient manner, to define the relationships of an employer and employee too, so that the work environment or the workers cooperate with the management in accomplishing the goals of the management. Then the third objective of this lesson is to bring in efficient molding of human resources so that the maximum production at minimum cost is possible. Now we are going to discuss about personnel management. What is meant by personnel management? Personnel management can be defined as obtaining, using and maintaining a satisfied workforce. It is a significant part of management which is concerned with employees at work and with their relationships within their organization. According to Indian Institute of Personnel Management, personnel management is a part of management function which is primarily concerned with human relations in an organization. Then we are going to discuss about characteristics of personnel management. There are different characteristics of personnel management. The first character of the personnel management is specialized branch of general management. Therefore, all principles of general management apply to the personnel management too. The second one is definite principles and policies. Apart from the general principles, we have specialized policies for the development. And the third one is management of human resources. Management of human resources in the industry is very important. The fourth one is it defines interpersonal relationships, because the relationships between the employer and the employee at all levels is very much needed in an organization. Then the fifth one is consider development as an individual and as a member of a group in formulating personnel policies and solving human problems in the organization to use their intrinsic qualities to a maximum extent. Then the sixth one is considers labor as a human being so that he can recognize his intrinsic abilities which can be developed and motivated towards the best interest of the organization. Then we are going to discuss about functions of personnel management. What are the different functions of personnel management? These come under into two categories. First one is managerial functions. The second one is operational functions. What is meant by managerial functions? This covers planning, organization, direction and controlling. First of all, we are going to discuss about planning. What is meant by planning? We all know planning needs to be sought out in each and every action and in each and every organization. The main functions of management concerned with the manpower planning, studying labor turnover, then forecasting the future requirements of personnel and planning for selection and training procedures. The second one is organizing. This organizing involves development of interpersonal relationships. It provides structures to the organization. Then the third one is direction. What is meant by direction? This is issuing instructions to the workers, development communication networks, interpreting industrial law and integrating workers. Then the fourth one is controlling. This controlling provide basic data for establishing data, make job analysis and work appraisal. Then the second one is operational functions. Operational functions covers the first one, procurement. This procurement concerned with obtaining proper kind and number of personnel necessary to accomplish company goals. Then it deals with the recruitment and it deals with the selection, then placement and orientation too. Then the second one is development. This development has to do with increase in the training skills that is necessary for proper job performance. Then the third one comes into compensation. This compensation determines of adequate and equitable remunerations of personnel for their contribution to the organization objectives. Then the fourth one is good industrial relationships. It intended to reduce stress, promote industrial peace, provide fair deal to workers, and establish industrial democracy. Then the fifth one is keeping records. It is very important to keep the records in any organization because it involves collecting and recording information concerns with the staff of the organization. Then the sixth one is planning and evaluation. It involves evaluation of performance, personnel policy on an organization and its practices. Then personnel audit, morale, survey and performance appraisals. Then the last one, the seventh one is research and audit. Research in newer motivational techniques and auditing is necessary. Then we are going to discuss about importance of personnel management. Personnel management brings proper development and growth in the organization. Harmony in the management-employee relationship. The personnel function is concerned with the relationship of management and the employees too. Then the second one is wide scope. It is concerned with the maintenance of the organization and aims to achieve both efficiency and fair play also. Then duty of a manager. Definitely a manager have a certain duties in an organization because manager of each department has to deal with people and his main responsibility is to get that done, work through and with the people also. Then development of people. This development of people concerned to provide fair terms and conditions of employment and satisfy those employed in an organization. Then what are the different policies of personnel management? There are certain policies that are to be followed in personnel management for the betterment of an organization. These policies of the personnel management are care and skills should be exercised in selection of employees. Then introduction to job should be friendly, skillful and adequate. Each employee should be made to feel that his efforts are appreciated. Then careful and thoughtful consideration should be given to probable effect to each rule, notice and practice on feeling of all concerns. Then the employee should have a part in planning things in which they will be involved. There should be sense of security and reasonable freedom from worry. Then there should be constant efforts by the management to be fair in every policies and practices. Then every employee should have the feeling of pride in his work. Then the organization's setup should be clear and not create confusion with the employees as to his duties and to the companies also. Then conditions should provide satisfying social experience and become a means of making livelihood. Now we are going to discuss about aspects of personnel management. We have to consider the different aspects of personnel management because of the successful integration of physical, financial and human resources is possible by a functional program which should involve the first one, organizational planning. What is meant by organizational planning? Organizational planning includes the planning of the number of people and the type of skills required to the man. This is called as manpower planning, which are affected by certain factors. Plans to extend the services to cater to a large number of people where the staff needs to be increased to greater extent than kitchen staff. Plans to install labor-saving devices requires changes in the staff or modify the existing one by the training. Change in service styles to increase the demand of customers with quicker services. Plans to introduce mobile catering services along with existing staff. The second one is staffing. Hiring people for working in a manner that their skills are matched with the job requirements. It is a specialized field concerned with recruitment, selection, induction, placement, training and development. Then third and important one is terms and conditions. It is very important to draw a condition of employment which are acceptable to the prospective employee and the employer too. It can be in a written form like a contract, especially when staff employed are more qualified. This contract acts beneficial to the both employee and employer as they bring flexibility, fixing work conditions and an organized way of work. It includes all the details of organizations and the employee and also aspects like compensation. Then the fourth one is personnel administration. Personnel administration covers maintenance of personnel records because the information of the employee includes in the personnel records. Then personnel relationships, development programs, employee development schemes, and helps in keeping all departments well informed. Then the third one is personnel research. Percentage turnover in different job positions and relating them to the qualification, personality and health status of an employee. Then the last one is training and development. Setting procedures for internal promotions by improving skills for promotions. Then we are going to discuss about functions of a personnel manager. What are the different functions of a personnel manager which should be conducted in an organization? It is very important for any organization to have a personnel department which is headed by a personnel manager, which makes a contribution in the growth of the organization. First function of the personnel manager is maintaining records pertaining to all staff employed. Then the second one is planning for staffing. The third one is preparing recruitment list for job requirements. Then fourth one is developing incentive schemes. The fifth one is maintains good public relations with the trade unions, staff and customers. The next one is establishing disciplinary and grievance procedures. And the next one is establishing liaisons with the institutions for training and development. The last one is help the organization to cope with the change in both internal and external environment. Now we are going to discuss about the recruitment. When we apply for any job, there must be a procedure in a recruitment. We know all the organizations should follow this recruitment procedure because recruitment is the process of attracting qualified candidates for the purpose of filling vacant positions in an establishment. Before recruitment, it is important to identify the particular position and personnel requirement for the jobs should be listed. Then requirements for effective recruitment. Recruitment is a very important process to attract more efficient candidates to a job. To make recruitment effective, it has to be made sure that all the necessary steps are to be followed to attract more and more candidates. There are some requirements to make the requirement process more effective. That is a clear idea about the job requirements, then information regarding the applicant's age, qualification, experience, skills, objectives, interests, health status and background. Then projection of a fairly realistic but favorable image of an establishment in order to attain qualified people. This helps to bring the right candidates to the job and also make selection of the right candidate very easy. Then sources of recruitment. There are different sources of recruitment which can be divided into internal and external. The internal recruitment, that is from within the establishment. The other is external. This external recruitment can be divided into different areas. First one, the recruitment can be made by the family members, relatives and friends of existing staff of the establishment. Then the recruitment can be done by the students from catering colleges, may be picked up during the periods of internship when their abilities can be judged. That is called as internship training. Then the third one is from employment exchanges or bureaus and professional associations. Then we can recruit people through different personnel contacts with others in trade. We could recommend people for specific jobs also. Then finally, we can recruit people through advertisements in local papers, professional journals, on notice boards of the organization, or through notice sent to catering and allied institutions. Usually, we get job notices in advertisement process only. Then we are going to discuss about the recruitment procedure. How a candidate has to be recruited in a job. Those in charge of recruitment are provided with job requirements of the vacancies to be filled, and then these are advertised in large establishments which have personnel officers of the department. Requisition are filled and prescribed forms by the departments in which vacancies are exist. The recruitment organization gives details necessary to project its image to the applicants. Then it would be a part to state that organizations with good public image are likely to attract better qualified candidates than others. All recruitment procedures require that candidates send their applications for their post by specific date. Sometimes the applications may be particularly designed or may left open. The application forms are expected to help the organization to obtain data regarding age, basic qualification, experience, background, health status, etc. Usually, when we apply for a job, we fill all these things into an application. It helps the personnel manager then shift out those applications which comply with the overall requirements of the job and passes them for the further security or further scrutiny to the selection committee. Then they deal with the applications to make final selection for the employment. Then we are going to discuss about recruitment policies. What is meant by recruitment policy? Policies are guidelines which help to standardize the selection procedures by laying down minimum qualification, relaxation time, age preferences, weight, age for experience, and other qualities. Policies determines the establishment of selection and interview boards and testing procedures. Then these policies helps to deal with unusual situations because of flexibility built in them. Policies help to screen applications quickly with little change or disagreement occurring between members of screening committee. However, policies requires to be reviewing periodically and revising in the light of the past experience with the personnel. Staff services can be better if recruitment policies and procedures are laid out in advantage of the need of the recruitment. All these effects may prove more costly in the long run when compared to the planned recruitment and timely employment. Now we are going to discuss about the selection. After the recruitment, we are going to select candidates in an organization. What is meant by selection? Selection is a process of identifying and picking up people whose probability of success in the job is maximum, who are likely to stay long with the organization to add to its development. This process involves a number of evaluations, that is objective and subjective. Selection is generally made by a committee comprising a number of members representing personnel department, employee unions, and manager departments in which vacancies are to be filled. The selection is based on the exchange of information between the organization and the candidate. While the exchanging information objectively must be maintained, image of the organization not projected in an unduly favorable manner, this attracts more applicants. Then criteria for selection. What is the criteria for selection? Definitely there will be a criteria for selecting people, that is age, qualification and experience, then compatibility of a candidate with the job requirement, because when compatibility is not there, then the worker cannot work in an organization. So definitely we have to see the compatibility of the employee. Then social skills indicating ability to work with other people. A person cannot work individually in an organization, so he has to mingle with the other people also. So group work is very much needed in an organization. So a person should have the social skills. So definitely we have to see the social skills of a person. Then the family background of the person and optimistic outlook of that personnel. Then health status of the personnel and special interests of that personnel. Then we have to consider the self-confidence, presence of mind and initiative. Then a very important one, high sense of ethical values should be there in the personnel. Then basic steps in selection. There are 7 basic steps in selection. In step 1, hand a statement indicating the job requirement for the position to be filled. Properly planned statement results in choosing right person for the job. In step 2, picking out those application forms which conforms to the minimum requirements on the statement. Then objective test of skills, not more than 30 minutes. It need to be organized involving written and practical work intended to test the basic knowledge and abilities to apply the practical situations. In step 4, we do appraisals or test evaluation is done by a simple process of scoring to pick up a few top performances for interview. In step 5, holding interviews bring out personality traits like confidence, stability, poise and presence of mind. These interviews are usually conducted by a board of 4 or 5 members selected for the purposes. Then step 6, the assessment of candidates who are successful at the interview is called from 2 separate references. This is done for managerial posts. In step 7, it is in the final stage, is the medical reports, which it clear entitles the candidates to contractual agreement with the organization. These 7 steps are formally laid out to be followed in selection procedure. They involve a great deal of time and administrative work. Then approaches of filling the staff. There are 2 approaches in filling the staff. The first approach is placement approach. Candidates are placed in the job a period of 1 to 6 months. This is a twofold purpose. Teaching institutions are able to give training in the practical situations, while catering establishment can pick potential employees by noticing their strengths. It is possible to prepare reliable recruitment list for various jobs in this way. Then the second one is promotion approach. This offers a higher promotion with more pay and greater responsibility and status to existing staff. The staff members must apply against the advertised post to compete for the selection with the other applicants. This eliminates the mistakes sometimes made by overlooking the abilities of the staff of promoting a member to the next hire. This referred to as Peter principle. Irrespective of the approaches, it is important to maintain a balance between skills and age of the employee for effective selection. Now we are going to discuss about induction. What is meant by induction? The recruitment and selection process completes the formalities of bringing a new employee into an establishment. Every newcomer needs to be introduced to people with whom they are expected to work and to the environment in which he or she required to his best. The process of introducing newcomers to his work environment is known as orientation. Usually we know when we join in our colleges, we get orientation from the college personnel. Like that, in the job also, we have to give orientation to introduce the new work to the workers. This may be organized through formal programs or informal introductions to the people and the departments within the organization. Depending on the size of the establishment, induction may be informal or can be handled to an employee in cyclostyled or printed forms also. Inductions are usually chalked out and conducted by the personnel managers. Then what are the different aspects of induction? Large establishments usually conduct planned inductive programs covering the following aspects. Those are history of the organization, its general policies and practices, then department, their location and function, then what are the staff benefits, like location of the employee facility like toilets, change and restrooms, medical rooms, canteens, etc. Then safety and the other procedures and regulations. And finally, positions of employee and relation to the other staff in his or her department. What are the different benefits of induction? As we know, if we are not properly introduced to any organization, we cannot work properly in that organization. So, induction is a very beneficial program because induction is necessary for making the new candidate a part of the growth of the establishment by making them feel like part. The benefits of doing it is it helps to develop relationships with the people, learn different behaviors and imbibe a sense of value followed at work. It gives him an opportunity to ask questions regarding a procedure or the job and feel his way around. Then they can mold behavior towards the organization and people at work. Therefore, best people at work should be chosen for orientation. It helps to remove any anxieties about the place, people and work that might exist. It stabilizes employees, helps friendships to develop quickly, reducing the chances of conflict and possibility of turnovers. Then what are the different methods of induction? Employees can be introduced to an establishment in a number of ways. The first one is formal talks to groups. The formal talks of the groups of new entrants from all departments make them familiar with the establishment, its objectives, policies, paths of achievement. Then the second one is film strips or slides are used to introduce its people to an establishment and its activities, giving them total picture to the employee. Then the third one is demonstrations. Demonstrations are very much helpful for an employee to adjust his work environment and experts from the fire departments may be invited to speak about safety procedures and demonstrate the use of these safety devices built into the establishment. Then the fourth one is informal get-togethers. Informal get-togethers are conducted through which the new employees can make their own circle of friends, ask questions, identify supervisors, and gradually understand their job. So far, we have discussed so many points in this personnel management. The first, we have discussed about characteristics of personnel management, then functions of a personnel management, then policies, aspects and functions of personnel management, then recruitment procedure. Finally, we came to know selection and induction is a very important procedure in personnel management. Thank you one and all.